So what I'm missing right now is my little granddaughter and grandson. Usually this is ruled by the granddaughter, though. I got to tell you, Hadley's the one that rules this time of night normally, and that time is the settle down show time. And it happens, they'll come over and it's getting close for them, time to leave, and Hadley will want to watch her settle down show. And so, Campbell will have an opinion, but it's usually what Hadley wants. And I've tried to influence her towards having different settle down shows. But we have Disney Plus, and so that's usually where we get our settle down shows, is from Disney Plus. But we've kind of developed this little ritual. It's kind of fun. So she'll say, "Papa, I want to watch a settle down show." And I'll say, "Okay, well, let's watch the best movie ever made." Now, the first few times we did this, it was great, because I would say, "Let's watch the best movie ever made." And she says, "Okay, let's watch that." And I said, "We're going to watch Citizen Kane." And she goes, "Papa, no, that is not a kid's movie. We are not going to watch Citizen Kane." Well, we've done this so many times now that whenever I say, "We're going to watch the best movie ever made," Hadley says, "We're not going to watch Citizen Kane." And it's gotten so bad that I don't even have to say, "We're going to watch the best movie ever made." I just say, "Are you ready for a settle down show?" And she'll say, "Not Citizen Kane." She is the only 4-year-old in the world who knows the movie Citizen Kane. She's never watched it, and to be honest with you, I've seen the movie and it was a little bit boring, but it was still, it was a good movie, but it's not a kid's movie. But it's this fun little ritual, let's watch the best. And I always say, but it's the best. It was the top of the 10 best movies ever. But to her, it's not the best. And that's really what it comes down to when you try to think of what's the best. Because most of the time when we come up with that kind of thing, it's all subjective, right? What's the best vacation spot? What's the best movie? What's the best book? Who is the best basketball player? Who is the best soccer player? Who's the best quarterback? Now, you all know who I think is not the best quarterback, who a lot of you think is the best quarterback, but we're not going to go there. This idea of best, though, is something that can cause great arguments in households. It can cause great conflicts among people when they're really passionate about what's the best. And like I said, bottom line is most of the time it's subjective. So there was a time when Jesus was asked about what the best was. They didn't say the best, they said, "What is the greatest?" And it's told in different places throughout Scripture and actually in different contexts. But the context that I was looking at not too long ago was in the context of the end of the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew 22. And Jesus is getting close to the time where he's going to be crucified, but he gets into these debates with the religious leaders of the time. And he had just gotten into a debate with the Sadducees about whether or not there's a resurrection. And so right after that, this is what happens. When a Pharisee heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. "Teacher," he said, "which commandment in the law is the greatest?" What's the best? Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the greatest, the best. And it's the first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Now for Jesus, when he asked about what the best was, he wasn't answering subjectively. He was saying beyond a shadow of doubt, this is the greatest commandment there is. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. And the second is love your neighbor as yourself. Now, N.T. Wright, writing on this passage, said, "This isn't simply a question about the relative importance of the commandment against stealing, murder, adultery, and so on. The law was not just a list of rules to make life a bit easier or less unpleasant. It was the God-given blueprint for the national life, the life that would make Israel the light of the world. It's interesting when you think about it, when Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? His answer was not so much what's the best commandment, but his answer was, how are we going to become lights to the world? So in other words, Jesus wasn't just trying to say, well, let me give you an answer, an academic answer as to what the best of all of these commandments, of all of these rules, of all of these guidelines are. What he was saying, do you really want to know what will make your life essential and different and vital? Because ultimately that's the best. It was as if Jesus was saying, look, you're asking me to grade these things on a scale of 1 to 10, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what the point of all of this is. It's more than simply talking about what's the best. It's talking about what the meaning is, what the purpose is, what is the point of what it is we're doing. What is the point of the law? What is the point of the church? What is the point of ministry? Not what is the best, what is the point? What's behind it all? And to Jesus, what was behind it all is loving God with everything you have and loving other people as you love yourself. That's the point. And you know what? If we get into debates about what's the best, it's just going to lead into an endless argument where there's going to be disagreement. But you know what? Perhaps none of us can disagree with what Jesus answers here as the point of life. Loving God and loving others. If we're not doing that, we're missing the point. In other words, who cares what's the greatest? What's your purpose? What's your point in being here? What's the point in being the church? What's the point in doing ministry? If it's not to increase our love for God and others and ourselves in the process, we miss the point altogether. The debate about what's the best of all those things will continue on. But let's just agree that debate about what the best or the point of all that we do is can end. It can end with Jesus' answer. Love God, love others, and love and care about yourself. Thank you.